I just decided I'd put all my money in Berkshire and ride with it.
And ride with Berkshire as a vehicle, just as
a kind of an extension, a corporate extension of me.
Yeah. And are you out of the textile business by then?
We got out of it. No, we did not get out of the textile business for 20 years. I even bought another textile company. I mean, this is, I'm going to confess. This is like a revival meeting now. I'm going to just go up to you and
we need that.
Forgive me, will you? Because I bought another textile company. I bought something called Wambeck Mills in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Why did you do that?
Only my psychiatrist knows. I thought I was going to solve something by doing it. I mean, I
solve something?
Well, I mean, I thought that these two put together would do better. Some crazy thing. I mean, I did it myself too. No management consultant told me to do it. So it was about 85. I mean, 20 years later, before we got out of
the textile business.
I said it's a little bit like watching a parade with all these other textile companies, and you stand up on your tiptoes, and then everybody else stands up on their tiptoes too. And all that, you don't see any better, and your legs hurt. And that's what happened with textiles. I've said that to some extent a good public school system is a lot like virginity. It can be preserved but not restored. We are looking for people that have a passion that extends beyond their paycheck every week or every month for their business. Beyond this passion, we're looking for intelligence, we're looking for energy, and we're looking for integrity. If they don't have the last, the first two will kill you, because if you hire somebody without integrity, you really want them to be dumb and lazy. You just got to fill up your mind with various competing thoughts and sort them out as to what really makes sense over time. And then once you've done a lot of that, I think you have to jump in the water, because investing on paper and investing with real money, is like the difference between reading a romance novel and doing something else. So I would been a death trap for investors ever since Orville took off. I mean, as I've said, if there had been a capitalist at Kitty Hawk, he should have shot down Orville and done us all a favor.
I have avoided all my life compensation consultants. To me, it's I hardly can find the words to express my contempt.
I will say this: if the board hires a compensation consultant after I go, I will come back.
It was one of the most remarkable things that ever happened in the history of the world, when a bunch of committed communists just looked at the prosperity of places like Singapore and said, "The hell with this, we're not going to stay here in poverty. We're going to copy what works." And they changed communism. They just accepted Adam Smith and added it to their communism. And said, now we have communism with Chinese characteristics, which is China with a free market with a bunch of billionaires and so forth. And they made that shift. They deserve a lot of credit. Warren and I are not quite as good at that as changing our minds in many cases.
Yeah.
He runs on sugar. We're back with Warren Buffett. That's all you're eating the entire shareholder day. Sugar, sugar, sugar.
It seems to work.
So you don't want the U.S. government telling you how much sugar you should and shouldn't eat?
No. I read a study that the best mortality was among 6-year-olds, and very few 6-year-olds die, and so I decided to study their eating habits, and look what it's done.
Okay. So Warren says he gauges his health by watching yours. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Well, I'm doing pretty well. Charred fat globules and sugar work beautifully. You keep at it long enough.
So you're just like him. He calls you his canary in a coal mine, though.
Absolutely.
The canaries are eating sugar today.
And of course, these days I try and comport myself so that everybody thinks there are at least 7 more good years left in Warren.
Oh, wow. So he's...
You could have these crazy internet valuations in the late 1990s, but they proved themselves out in the market. I mean, the next day they were selling for more than they were the day before, and people said, you're crazy if you don't get in on this. So it's very human. Now, with housing, it's something even more dramatic than that, because most people aspire to own their own home.
And should wise people have known better?
Well, people always should know better. People don't get smarter about things that get as basic as greed, and you can't stand to see your neighbor getting rich. You know you're smarter than he is, and he's doing these things, you know, and he's getting rich, and your spouse is getting unhappy with you because you aren't doing. Pretty soon you start doing it, and so you get what I call the natural progression, the 3 I's: the innovators, the imitators, and the idiots. You know, and that's what happens in
We've been
financial
through all
markets.
3, have we?
Everybody just kind of goes along, and you look kind of silly if you disagree.
2, 3. Bill Gates wins. Bill Gates wins.
Okay.
I'm not in the circle, so nobody's going to pay us.
Oh, here it is. There it is. There was $1 on that one. Sorry, I don't have any more.
Really, Warren? You couldn't give him fair and square a 5 spot or something that you had in your wallet?
That was $1, and it was his fault to determine that I didn't have $1.
Well, I'm a big fan of knowing the big ideas in pretty much all the disciplines, the ones that are pretty easy to assimilate, and then using those routinely in your judgment. What I find is, though, that academia is not very good at the interdisciplinary stuff. Academia rewards a researcher who knows more and more about less and less.
You've repeatedly said that you see many wonderful stock ideas, but can't invest because they're too small. Given that many in the audience today have a lower dollar investment threshold...
Do these stocks have names?
Well said.
Moody's, you're not buying. You've been selling that. At least that's what
we sold some last week. Yeah.
You sold some last week on Monday through Wednesday. There was a filing on that. The obvious question becomes: are you going to keep selling that? Are you going to drop down?
I guess the obvious answer is I don't tell.
We have a lot of people that would like to join us, but prices are such, competition for buying business is such, that the chances of pulling any one of them off is slim. But if you keep, trying to kiss enough girls, eventually one says yes. One of the interesting things about investment is that there's no degree of difficulty factor. I mean, if you're going to go diving in the Olympics and try and win a gold medal, you get paid more in effect for certain kinds of dives than others because they're more difficult and they properly adjust for that factor. But in terms of investing, there is no degree of difficulty. If something is staring you right in the face, and the easiest decision in the world, the payoff can be huge. And we get paid not for jumping over 7-foot bars, but for stepping over 1-foot bars.